Hello, friends, and welcome. Today, patch 7.29D just came out. I won't read through the whole patch for you. It is pretty short if you want to check it out yourself. I'm just going to run through some highlights with you guys, especially for support players, though actually it affects everyone. So let's just get into the highlights real quick. So first is a bug. It's not really a bug, but it kind of is. So you may have seen this, maybe not. The case I'm familiar is like Tiny throwing range creeps into the trees, and then they just never found their way out. So there was no counterplay, and you just get good equilibrium for yourself and have effectively denied a range creep forever from the enemy. So Dota's not really supposed to work that way, so it's just been fixed. That's it. Next, Vanguard. This is a very popular item, and it's being nerfed a little bit. So 6 total damage is being removed from Vanguard. I'm not going to worry about the range case because mostly melee heroes buy this item. Now, to put this nerf into context, when it was buffed in 7.29, the buffs included cost reductions to its components, so it became a cheaper item, and the block chance went up from 50 to 60% chance to proc, which effectively blocked 7 damage every time you were attacked if you were a melee hero. This nerf that reduces the total block damage essentially cuts that in half. So now, every time you are attacked, you take roughly 3.5 more damage than you did in 7.29C. So, overall, the item is still buffed since the introduction of 7.29, but it's just slightly worse. So, I still think a lot of heroes will build it. Probably slightly less on ranged heroes because it was so good that even some ranged heroes bought it. So now I think mostly melee heroes, like they're trying to push that away to make it mostly melee and maybe not every single game first item rush Vanguard kind of item. Like maybe I'll consider something else. Still a pretty solid item, I think, because it still has that cost reduction and what it gives you is still really good. So I still think we'll see it a lot, just a little bit less, which is the point. Solar Crest, another item of the patch, 5 more attack speed off, meaning in total, 15 attack speed has been removed from this item since 7.29 originally nerfed it, like from 80 to 65. Now it's down another 15, but 7.29 also changed its cost, changed its build-up, so I think it's still a very good item. And, like, you honestly don't have to change your itemization that much. It's just a little bit worse, and maybe we're starting to get to a point where maybe I won't buy Solar Crest every single game, but I kind of still will because the build-up's great, the cost is great, what it gives you is great, it fits a lot of popular heroes right now, it's just a really solid item, and I think you'll still buy it. So, let's talk about heroes. Ancient Apparition, still going to pick it when you got like Timber, Huskar kind of heroes, but the damage and the Magic Amp a little worse, making him a bit worse at like every game, right? So AA is usually supposed to fit this idea of like healing prevention. You cannot heal when AA hits you. But he was kind of like so good that I was like, oh, there's no healing. I don't know. It's still kind of a good AA game, right? And with like these changes to Sanj, which I didn't really mention, but it's also nerfing healing a little bit. Some healing nerfs to Warlock. I think it's becoming a little less necessary to have AA to prevent healing. So still a solid hero, still going to be picked up, but just, less so. Axe's build is going to be nerfed now. Instead of adding 10%, it's going to add 5%, the shard to the proc chance. So will he still do Manta shard? Maybe, but it shouldn't be as good. And if you also factor in the Vanguard nerf, then Axe overall should be hurt by this. Hopefully not Axes like every game. I'm kind of tired of it, I'll be honest. But I think it's still possible if you want to do it. Bristleback, same, slight nerfs. To put this in context, the cooldown, because 0.25 seconds seems like a very short time, like why does that even matter? You need to think about it in the greater expanse of Warpath. Originally, before this nerf, you could get 9 stacks from Viscous Nasal Goo just casting this one, which is his cheapest spell. Now you can only get up to 8 stacks of Warpath from using Viscous Nasal Goo. So you actually have to cast your other spell, which is a bit more expensive. So should hurt Bristleback a bit because you may have seen it, Bristleback just running around spamming Q, keeping up maximum stacks. So it's going to be a little more expensive for him to do that, which should hurt him like in places. So light nerf. Now, Brood is one I'm having trouble fully reading. So the Insatiable Hunger is a straight up nerf, 70% to 40%. Huge nerf to the lifesteal, but honestly warranted. This hero is a little way too strong. Spin Web, if you didn't know, and you may not have because I don't think it even said on the shard, but the shard reduced web charge time. That is being moved to a talent, and the CDR is being removed. So on one hand, that's a nerf, because it was really good to be able to pick it up on the shard and then have CDR. But now you don't have to buy the shard, I don't think. If you don't want to, anyways, because you still get the web reduction time through a talent. And maybe that opens up a new build for Brood, but I don't play enough Brood Mother. And even though she's been really popular, I don't see her enough still to really know her build that well. So I think this is a nerf, but she was kind of a heavy farmer and didn't care about, like, I think she didn't mind buying the shard because it was so good, because she farms really fast. And now it's like, well, I don't have that option as much, and like I kind of get it from my talent, but I lose CDR options. So I think it's a nerf. I know it's a nerf, but I think maybe she'll have a different build. I'm not sure. But maybe losing the CDR just hurts a lot, because some of her builds focused a lot on building different active items, and now that's just not going to be as good. So we'll see. Centaur War Runner, some nerfs to him. Don't forget the Vanguard nerfs, so just shouldn't be as good. Same with Axe. Just nerfs, small nerfs overall. Dark Willow, I didn't think she was that broken, but some small nerfs to her too. Same with Faceless Void, Invoker. Like I said, those are smaller ones we don't have to care about. Medusa is the other big change next to Broodmother that I see. This is a nerf to her, and the reason she was really strong is because she hit this Manta, Aghanim's, sometimes the Shard, timing, along with her level 15 talent, and it became really hard to kill her, and she did a solid amount of damage. Not like the craziest you've ever seen, but a good amount, and it was very hard to kill her, and it didn't, like, she hit that timing pretty consistently. So what's been changed is that this mana steal talent, or mana gain, she didn't really steal it anymore, has been moved back 5 levels, and that's quite a lot, from 15 to 20. And so this hurts her timing, where she hit that Manta Ag's shard, and just like, you had to burn through her mana by damaging her, and then she would just Mystic Stake and gain a ton of mana back. And if you didn't have enough damage to like consistently remove all her mana and then actually damage the hero before she could just cast Mystic Stake and gain all her mana back, you had to do so much damage to Medusa, which was hard because you were getting stoned, or what's the petrified, very frequently. And now that's been nerfed a little bit. The mana talent's been pushed back. So I think her timing should be much worse. Well, not, I don't know. It kind of is much worse. Like, she hit a really strong timing, and that's just not going to be as good anymore. Snapfire, nerfed, kind of sad. The talent, or the stun, reduced by 0.3 at level 1. Late game, it's now fine, but this does reduce your early pressure when Cookie is at low levels, and sometimes you left it at a value point, and that's going to be a little worse now. Lil Shredder is losing 0.25 armor per attack, so in total that is 1.5 armor if you hit all 6 attacks on one hero. Doesn't sound like a lot. Depending on your armor, let's say it's roughly 5% physical reduction that you are losing. So obviously that's a nerf. May not seem like a lot, but I don't know. It kind of isn't, kind of is. So just by context, to remind you guys, when we see a hero get like a base armor buff by 1 armor, we're like, wow, you know, or like, oh my goodness, they lost 1 armor. So like, when you keep that in mind, Snapfire losing 1.5 armor from using Lil Shredder is kind of a nerf to the ability. So it should hurt her a little bit, which is unfortunate because I still have to spam a couple more games of Snapfire. And she's just going to be a worse early game hero, but still good overall. She's been picked up a ton. I don't think she's like broken, but if you're being picked up in a lot of high level pubs and drafted first phase, like maybe that is broken. So, you know, I don't know. Tiny, small nerf, but then Timbersaw and Tiny, if you've been a long-time Dota 2 player, there's been a bug, I guess, at this point, where if you buy back early enough, you would just respawn at your location while you were being tossed or timber chained. That could be awesome for you, or it could be really bad. So, you know, it's just, it was a bug either way, and now that's been fixed because it showed up in Pro Dota, and that's why people are saying it's fixed. Whatever the reason, it's gone now. So if you're a longtime player, don't depend on this, or maybe if it screwed you over, it's finally gone. If you're a new player, you may not have even seen this, so it's a bug fix essentially. Don't worry about it. Warlock healing got reduced. His Shard Holy Locket talent build was very good and a little bit nerfed. Wraith King removing some of the 1-point wonderness of his Mortal Strike by increasing the crit time. Now at max level, it's going to be just as good, but that's kind of the issue because Wraith King really liked to go like a 1-4-1 build pretty frequently, and that's just not going to be as good anymore. In the end, he gets to the same place, a little more mana expensive, but like I still think he's a pretty solid hero if you like Wraith King. So yeah, in the end, we kind of did end up going through like all the heroes, even though I said highlights, but that's pretty much, well, okay, for the sake of it, Sange is also been nerfed a little bit. The healing reduced by a bit, which healing right now has been very strong. When you combine all these like Warlock with this Sange builder, with this Vanguard, like all of it was just kind of piling together. And so now all of the, well, not all of it, but like many different components are receiving slight nerfs. So we may shift away from this healing meta, which is coincidentally why AA was so strong. Okay, so now we've essentially covered everything. Thanks for watching, guys. I don't really expect too huge of a meta shift. Just to kind of wrap it up, probably Medusa, I think, should be affected the most, but I think you could probably still play her. Like I think she's more of a late game hero instead of like she kind of felt like a mid game hero recently, and now I think it pushes her back a bit towards a late game hero again. And then Brood, we'll see. Vanguard builder should be worse. Everything else, I think, roughly the same. Okay, bye.